Political victimization. Education Minister refutes claims from opposition People's National Party ahead of nomination day on Monday. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on air and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Herman Green. Also this evening, high alert. Public sector teachers again placed on watch as the Jamaica Teachers Association pursues wage claims with the government. 100 arrested in raid on Portmore's Back Road. And careful, MP warns police about negatively labeling troubled communities in Clarendon. There's also Saturday Sports Special, sports commentary and weather in this newscast, so stay with us. The news in detail right after this break. Welcome back to Primetime News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app from the Google Play Store or from the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the word Spot Media. Just over 24 hours ahead of nomination day for the Northwest St. Andrew by-election, the People's National Party, PNP, says it will be seeking the political ombudsman intervention in what it says is a case of political victimization. The accusation comes as the PNP says its candidate, Keisha Hale, who is the principal of the Padmore Primary School, has been summoned to appear before officials of the Ministry of Education on Monday, nomination day, to answer to allegations of irregularities at the institution. More in this report. TVJ News understands that the Education Ministry scheduled the meeting with the PNP candidate regarding the findings of an audit carried out at the Padmore Primary School in St. Andrew. However, PNP Chairman for Region 3, Philip Paulwell, said the decision by the ministry to summon Ms. Hale on Monday, the day of her nomination for the Northwest St. Andrew by-election, can only be described as political victimization.
We question this whole attempt to me at victimization, at undermining a candidate who has proven to have tremendous legitimacy and relevance to the community that she's seeking to serve. I think the timing is questionable, and we want to hear from the Minister of Education to get his full assurance that no attempts are being made to victimize her and to in any way prevent her from her legitimate activities pursuing a representational role against the Jamaica Labour Party.
After reaching out to the Education Ministry for a response, the ministry sent a statement to our newsroom refuting the allegations. The statement said an audit officer assigned to Padmore Primary visited the institution on Friday, February 9, 2018 to do a document verification process. The school's principal was not present at the time, and the officer indicated that he or she would return on Monday, February 12, 2018 to meet with Ms. Hale to complete the process. It said the ministry has since instructed the chief audit executive to postpone the visit to a mutually convenient time to allow for the principal, Ms. Hale, to participate in nomination day proceedings scheduled for Monday. Still, Mr. Paulwell says the PNP will be filing a complaint with the political ombudsman and waging a public campaign in a bid to prevent any similar actions from the JLP government. Ms. Hale will be challenging the JLP's Dr. Nigel Clark for the seat left vacant following the resignation of JLP MP Derek Smith. Public sector teachers have again been put on high alert as the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, pursues its wage claims with the government. The JTA is to have consultations with members on the latest offer from the government, which includes extending the 2-year wage contract to 4 years. The association has not indicated whether it will accept the offer. Addressing teachers at a JTA Sports Awards ceremony at St. Elizabeth Technical High School Friday night, President Georgia Waugh Richards suggested that teachers should prepare themselves for any eventuality as the wage negotiations progress.
The Jamaica Teachers Association is not just about the academics, but the Jamaica Teachers Association is about the total development of the teacher, and that's why we say 6% now cut it.
That's right.
Because our teachers deserve much better than that. And tonight's activity is possibly preparing us for a greater activity where we're going to be in more strength, and stick-to-itiveness and togetherness and uniting and serving.
More than 100 persons were detained this morning in a major police operation along the Port Henderson Main Road, popularly known as Back Road. They include 40 women and 65 men. Police say they raided several hotels and strip clubs in search of wanted men from St. James. The High Command suspects that gunmen fleeing the state of emergency in St. James may be hiding in motels and hotels in the corporate area and St. Catherine. The strip was blocked off for hours as police combed through rooms and several premises for suspects. The operation, which started at midnight, ended shortly after 6 o'clock Saturday morning. An illegal gun with several rounds was seized at the back of a premises on the strip where several prostitutes were staying. A member of parliament is this evening cautioning the police that the negative labeling of some communities could make crime fighting more challenging than it already is. Clarendon Member of Parliament, Central Clarendon that is, Mike Henry, made the comments at a media release on Saturday, days after acting head of the Clarendon Police Superintendent David White outlined areas where certain crimes are more rampant. TVJ's Krista Campbell has the details.
More than 20 persons have been murdered in Clarendon since the start of the year, and the police say they have been responding by increasing their presence in areas more prone to certain crimes, like robberies twinned with murders, which acting head of the Clarendon Police Superintendent David White says is more prevalent in Savannah Cross, Mineral Heights, Sandy Bay, and Longville Park.
We start to look at Longville Park seriously because there's also a connection from Spanish Town that is linking in Longville Park, and that Spanish Town is now linking from Longville Park here into Farm Everettville.
Gang activities also continue to push up murder figures and challenge the police in Clarendon.
The gangs in Buckner and Bucks Common, Farm Everettville, Rocky Point and Lionel Town are active. And there are some main players that we would have put them on here and tell and speak to Jamaica that if you see them, we want them. Farm Everettville is one of those underdeveloped areas that they live and they're able to hide within those spaces. They'll come into Maitland Town where they'll carry out their attacks and be safe haven back in Farm Everettville.
Turning to the guns for drugs trade, Superintendent White says it's still a challenge in southern coastal communities like Rocky Point, Milk River, and Portland Cottage.
The criminals are operating within these spaces. So one is for drugs and guns, and this is also for the changing of animal meat for guns, and it continues.
And he says criminals are also beginning to use other communities like Frankfield as a safe haven. In Yorktown, Superintendent White laments that residents are keeping silent, noting it's making it more difficult for the police to solve some of the murders there. But in a media release on Saturday, Central Clarendon MP Mike Henry said he's concerned with the level of criminal activities in the parish and warned that blacklisting troubled communities will only counteract crime-fighting efforts. In fact, the MP says representatives of some communities are complaining bitterly about their areas being negatively labeled. He says by doing so, the police are further isolating the residents, noting that the police need to have a closer relationship with the people to truly be effective in fighting crime. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
There are increased calls within the region for a more robust approach to crime fighting as crimes, especially murders, are on the rise in some Caribbean territories. Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago have the unenviable record of the highest homicide count in the region so far this year. With foreign nations now issuing security warnings, some residents are suggesting a unified approach to crime. Murder figures in the region for January this year. Jamaica, 141 homicides. Trinidad and Tobago, 59 killings. Those are the two highest figures in the region, both indicating an increase over the same period last year. The increase led to security advisories for U.S. citizens in Jamaica last month. Advisories were issued Thursday for Trinidad and Tobago from the U.S. and the U.K. for terror threat warnings for carnival activities next week. As it is in Jamaica, Trinidadians are concerned that the spike in crime will impact the economy.
Yeah, a lot, yeah, because tourism is getting lower and lower every day. Because at a situation, people take it as an offense. When they hear that, they will not come and visit like how before. Before it was normal. Now it's dangerous.
Well, it's affecting business in a very negative way, you know, because you're not seeing the people in the country, they're not happy. They're scared to go out. They're scared to socialize because, I mean, a small country like ours, the crime figure for this month is 50 plus already. I mean, by no standard is unacceptable.
The international media has reported that a terror plot for Trinidad Carnival was foiled with the aid of U.S. law officials. With terror threats now being added to the country's crime concerns, residents are suggesting that a collaboration with regional authorities on the matter may be the way forward.
You know, crime affects everyone, right? I wish that the governments of the region could get together and hold a holistic view and come together and deal with it together and see what the best we could do. Because I mean, the Caribbean, everybody wants to live here, everybody wants to come here. Why we spoil it?
It's very difficult because the business that is involved is at the level of our economy or a little bit less. You know, the drug business is extremely wealthy. The only way to do it would be to be extremely strict at all levels, and there's no way to that other than accountability and oversight. And to some degree, we have to fight for it as well as people.
In light of the escalating crime, the Trinidad Police Executive has presented a new crime plan, which among other things focuses on hotspot policing. However, that is already being criticized as being old and restrictive. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says the government will be intensifying its public education on fire safety in light of the number of recent incidents of fires claiming the lives of children. He was speaking in Clarendon on Friday, where he noted that with 80% of fires taking place in poorer households, a lot of the public education on fire safety will be done through community forums.
My heart goes out to the family of a 7-year-old who has not committed any sin, but died without knowing whether they had a future.
He was referring to a fire at Joe Blaine Spanish Town in St. Catherine, which claimed the life of 7-year-old Amelia Williams, a student of Friendship Primary School, on Thursday. The local government minister also raised concern about another fire safety issue.
People continue to burn garbage, burn fields. These are only contributing more to the dangers that exist.
An environmental catastrophe is brewing in St. Elizabeth as illegal dumping of wetlands is causing havoc in some areas. The parish authorities say they have been made aware of the situation and corrective action is now being considered. But is it too late in some instances? Some St. Elizabeth residents say they are worried that they are on the verge of a disaster because of a common practice of dumping wetlands to build houses and other structures. In Parity, for example, residents believe dumping of wetlands in an adjacent community is causing prolonged flooding in areas where there is normally dry land.
Yes, always dry, right here. Always dry. We ride bicycle, them ride bike, them play cricket, football and all that right here. Yeah, see the surface of the pond right out there? Rear you see the tree there. And right out there the water used to stay and supposed to stay. But through the creek, that them black, then it cause the water.
That's just one such example, but the residents believe the problems are all linked to the illegal dumping of wetlands. Chairman of the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, Derek Sangster, says the matter has been brought to his attention, and he stressed that such illegal dumping is a breach of the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, guidelines.
Persons are not supposed to be dumping up wetlands, as such. And wherever we see this happening, we proceed to serve notices to stop this sort of action. There are times when persons will pursue it, but on a normal basis, these actions are not supposed to take place.
Parity resident Wendell Daly adds that the illegal dumping is one of the factors preventing the development of new NEPA-approved tourist attractions in his community. So in light of the lingering flood waters now in Parity and other such areas, what can be done in those areas where dumping and construction have already been done?
Taking one of a building is a difficult situation because, you'd have to go through the courts perhaps and take certain procedures. But what we seek to do is to stop it before it reaches that stage. Stop the initial dumping before it reaches that stage, which will involve far more processes in terms of taking down the building.
A young baby is among 4 persons taken to hospital after a 3-vehicle crash in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth on Saturday. It's reported that shortly after 3 in the afternoon, a taxi operator was traveling to Mandeville, Manchester, when he saw a car in the road. He said in trying to avoid a collision, he swerved but slammed into an Isuzu truck. The truck overturned. The conditions of the injured are not known. And a man was injured following an attack in a supermarket in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth. It's alleged that the man was defending his sister after she was beaten by her ex-boyfriend. The man reportedly left and returned with his friends, who then beat the man and chopped him with a machete. The victim was rushed to hospital. A man who says he saw what happened gave this account off camera.
And just as we reach at the stoplight, some car coming straight across. One car come from the Institution Drive. Run the red light and stop right at the supermarket. About 4 guys jump out of it with one of them have one stick in their hand, the next one have something look like machete. But we see one of the guys run out, one next one like it's a rasta, like somebody push him. He have one stick in their hand, he run out, and then the guy with the machete now, him come out, him blood up.
The supermarket was closed after the incident. And that's the local segment. Stay tuned. International stories after the break.